Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Elizabeth Kennedy, she, her, and I'm the community organizer for education and opportunity at the Public Advocate's Office. Thank you all for joining us today in what will hopefully be an incredible session talking about empowering youth towards advocacy, or truly what it is, partnering with youth towards justice. But first, I wanted to start with an exercise that's very hands-on. So for those of you at home, if you have a piece of paper, a piece of cardboard, I have a piece of folder that I could find, would love for you to take that out right now. Next, once you have that, I want you to fold it in half, like so. And then next, fold that in half, like so. Then I want you to open it up, and you should have 4 squares on your sheet. And then I want you to write in each box something that's meaningful to you, that's going to help you stay present or stay connected. And hopefully this can be a tool for you. If not, feel free to put the piece of paper down and just enjoy our time together. I'll give you a visual of what I put. I put thoughts, doodles, questions, and quotes to help me stay present and connected to the incredible folks that are here with us today. First, I wanted to echo what Laurie Daniels Favors so importantly said in our earlier session of We Rise. And I want to start by echoing the love and appreciation for our incredible ASL interpreter, Nora, she, her. And we thank you, and we wanted to give you a moment to thank yourself for the incredible work you're doing here with us today. So thank you. Next up, it is my pleasure and distinct honor to introduce our moderator for today's panel. It is an incredible opportunity to introduce Marcia Jean-Charles, she, hers. Marcia is an alumna and lead organizer of the Brotherhood Sister Soul, a Haitian American educator, organizer, and scholar of Black transnational diasporic literary studies and abolitionist pedagogy. Marcia centers racial and class equity, as well as immigrant and gender justice, in her knowledge, facilitation, and socio-political movement building efforts. Yes, social, political movement building efforts. It's important. Inspired by these cosmologies and revolutionary politics, catalyzed by marginality, decolonial migration, disenfranchisement, and demosprudence, Marcia works to liberate youth with culturally responsive education, abolish the carceral state, divest from punishment culture, and finally invest in marginalized peoples and communities. Without further ado, it's my honor to pass this panel over to Dr. Marcia Jean-Charles. Thank you so much.
Thank you, VK. I'm happy to be here and excited about the conversation we're having today. I'm super excited also about our panelists and getting them on stage so we can get to learning and talking and vibing. And so I'm actually going to invite folks on stage to introduce themselves. The first question they're going to answer or a series of questions are like, who are you? How do you identify? And what communities do you represent? And so we're going to hear today from Giovanni, Dorothea, Sarah, and Veronica. And you can go in that order or whatever order you so choose. But the questions are, again, who are you? How do you identify? And what communities do you represent? Who wants to start us off?
I guess we can keep the order. My name is good afternoon, everyone. My name is Giovanni Piquant. I am a third-year student at New York City College at the City University of New York, majoring in law and paralegal studies. I also serve as the first ever Haitian American chairwoman and CUNY trustee at the City University of New York. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I represent the communities of the student constituency, but also the Haitian community as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Who's next? I guess we can have Dorothea.
I can go.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Veronica Morris. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a part of Integrate NYC. and I've been working with Integrate NYC for the past 3 years. So I would say I'm definitely representing Integrate NYC today.
Thank you, Veronica. Dorothea will join us. She's having some tech issues. And then Sarah, do you want to jump in?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her. So I recently joined Integrate NYC. I am a sixth grader at MS51, and that's when I was able to join Integrate NYC at the beginning of the year, which I'm very excited about. And so I am definitely representing them, and I also am representing the Latin community because all my family is from Dominican Republic.
Awesome. Shout out to the love on Hispaniola. And we are going to jump right in. And Dorothea, just for folks who should, or just so that folks know when she gets back, is a member of Teens Take Charge and works in Discrimination in Schools campaign, and also part of her school's Student Diversity Committee to provide mental health workshops and a culturally responsive curriculum. And in her free time, she enjoys journaling, writing stories, and getting lost in her favorite books. Super excited to hear from all y'all. And we're going to have the dopest conversation today. So the next question, so we can all get to talking about what we're really here for, it's also a series, right? So the questions are, what does education justice mean to you? What does it look or feel like? And how will we know when we've created an equitable and just education system? Let's start with Sarah, if you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's a really big question, and something we've worked a lot in Integrate, which is education justice. And I think that that feels like, or also looks like, everyone being able to feel like they are part of a community. And so I think that that's something that we've struggled a lot as a country, or even just like the state, if making everyone feel like they're part of the community. And I think that we should all feel welcome, and everyone of all races, gender, communities, they should all feel like they have a space in the community.
Thank you, Sarah. Feeling welcome, feeling like you have space, feeling included, definitely a part of an equitable and just education system. What are some other thoughts?
To me, education justice means equal opportunity. I feel like all students, depending on their race or socioeconomic status, should have the same opportunities to get into the same schools, and just equitable resources distributed among all our city's schools. Someone's level of education shouldn't be determined by their race or socioeconomic status or like parents' income. So I feel like education justice is equity and opportunity.
Equity and opportunity, access, all that. Thank you, Veronica. Giovanni, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Sarah and Veronica touched on two main components that, assimilate and replicate what exactly education justice is. But I think I want to talk about the activation of that and our leaders and members of our community and systems of government actually implementing policies that create true justice in education, such as investing in communities, but also removing and eradicating gatekeeping systems such as standardized testing and so much more that limit access and opportunities to the most marginalized communities.
Thank you. Thank you all for that. And also just to get back a little bit to the feeling, right? You're all students, you're all also educators, your own spaces, your own community. What does it feel like to go to a school that is equitable and just? What would it feel like, since that's not currently what we have? Anyone want to chime in on that real quick?
I think it's kind of hard to say what that would feel like since we've never experienced it, but I do think we can imagine a place where we are learning about true history and the decolonization of our education, but also a place where we are celebrated and not just tolerated, and a place where people from the most marginalized communities are respected and have equal access and opportunity to thrive. And not on the basis of certain things such as their gender or race or sex, but on the basis of everyone should have an opportunity to seek an education, but also have equal access to pursue their dreams and having those opportunities available to them.
Thank you, Giovanni. Veronica, I saw you like shaking your head. You want to add?
Yeah, just touching on that a bit. I definitely agree. Inclusivity, that's something Sarah said, just feeling included. And that includes the curriculum, having a culturally, I'm pronouncing that wrong, and racially diverse curriculum and responsive curriculum that really represents our true history as a nation, and in the world. We can't learn the truth of our nation off of a very Eurocentric curriculum.
Mm-hmm. So you've heard from folks, it's been about curriculum, it's been about access, it's been about ending structural inequities that limit opportunity, access, and our curriculum. Definitely some ideas that are echoed in like social movements across the city that are led by, of course, the folks on this call. It's not a call, on this live feed. But definitely things that we need to work on as a city so that we can ensure that people feel welcomed, like Sarah was saying earlier. So thank y'all. Next set of questions. I probably should have simplified this, but the next set of questions include, if you had an unlimited amount of money for schools, your school in particular, or schools more broadly, where would you want that money to go? What would you prioritize spending money on to bring your vision for an equitable and just school system to life? I'm going to ask that one more time, and then we're going to start with Veronica. If you had an unlimited amount of money for your school or schools more in general, where would you want that money to go? What would you prioritize spending money on to bring your vision for an equitable and just school system to life? What are some of your thoughts?
Well, if I had unlimited amount of money, I would definitely invest in like community building programs, which include like sports teams and stuff like that, because that's one place, at least for me, I've like found a group of friends and and I've like built a community off of that. And I would probably prioritize like extracurriculars and like clubs and stuff like that, and like funding clubs and sports teams.
We're funding community building so that education might offer you a different space to build with people and to build a better world. Thank you. Giovanni, you want to chime in? And then Sarah?
Yeah, I think it would be three things for me. Support services for our students, essentially helping them to thrive throughout their collegiate experience or their education experience and journey. I also think investing in more ethnic studies programs, whether it may be K through 12 or in the collegiate setting and area, and also infrastructure. I think infrastructure plays a huge role in how students feel and their environment and where do they feel accepted. So they can feel happy to go to school and feel like this is an environment where they feel as actual human beings.
Right. Treating students like human beings, definitely should be prioritized in all spaces, and principally in schools. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I agree. Something that you guys both spoke about and was resources. And I think that we talk about this a lot. The amount of resources that everyone has to succeed, because I feel like in certain positions, depending on the person, if they have more money to spend, they'll get better resources, and it shouldn't be like that, but it is. And I think that definitely spending more money to get resources for people to have available to them.
Getting people the resources that they need to be successful in school, definitely a part of where money should go, right? And it looks like prioritizing student needs, prioritizing student wellness, prioritizing the educational curricula that students want. Definitely a great way to spend money, especially for the future of New York City. So thank you all for that. And so last question, or a series of questions. As leaders, who you are, What are some of the characteristics of meaningful and transformative partnership with you and your communities? So thinking back to the communities that you represent or the communities that you're here alongside, what do your communities need to have meaningful and transformative partnership? And what do you need to have meaningful and transformative partnership with other folks? And what do folks need to do better at regarding following your lead and the lead of others like you? So how do people need to get out of the way so that you can do what you do well and so that you can lead the charge? Because as people who are in school, y'all are clearly best equipped to understand and identify and communicate what schools need. And so what do meaningful and transformative partnerships with you and your communities look like? And what do folks need to do better? Starting with Giovanni.
I think, well, I can only speak on my experience, especially as a woman, as a Black woman. I think people need to give us the space to do what we do, and understand our capabilities and respect that. I think that is extremely important, and not just only tolerating us, but respecting us in the places that we're in. And I think why women just in general have a hard time in society in the spaces of politics and advocacy, because we are not seen as a norm in that world. We are not expected to be there. And, you know, it is very hard to be in a space where many people who look like you haven't been there before. But I think it's also charges us with the mission to amplify the voices and how to incorporate more individuals who look like us, and resources in terms of helping more women and more access and opportunity to young students like us, whether it may be women, men, women, whatever you identify as. I think it's very important to give us the resources and opportunities to help us achieve and get us into the places that we're in, because it's the youth that's creating the change. You know, Sarah's in 6th grade. When I was in 6th grade, I was not doing what she was doing. And it just shows what access and opportunity means for young individuals like us.
Mm-hmm. No, you got it, Veronica.
Yeah. As an 8th grader, I've often been like my words have been undermined, or I've been tokenized in certain environments, even like within my school environment. And something that Integrate NYC really values and is something called real representation, where, well, Integrate NYC is a youth-led organization, and we're fighting for the integration of New York City public schools. We're fighting for something that's affecting the youth. So having youth fight for something that's affecting them is obviously so important, because it's something that is affecting us in the long run. And so given the space where youth can really lead and where we have the support of adults, but we're really given like our time to shine and our time to like really say what we need and prioritize our ideas and our needs is really important in a partnership.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Veronica. And Sarah, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I agree with Veronica. I think that she said everything that I couldn't have said it better. Sorry. And I think that something that she just made me think of was too, like when I was last year, so in my elementary school, they did different like events, but I was never asked to like speak at them. And yes, I think it was great that other people had that opportunity, but then at the same time, it's like when you think about it, it was mostly the same people, right? And meaning like mostly white students were asked to speak at like certain events. And I think that when it's, especially in school environments, you need the teachers and the adults at the school to be welcoming and equal to all students, but at the same time, like give everyone like that step that they need, because I might not need the same step that Veronica is gonna need to succeed in her next class, right? But I also might, but I'm gonna need something different. So having everyone be able to get that step.
Yeah, and making it personalized so that people get what they need to be successful in the ways that they need, right? So thank you all for that. And also just highlighting that people need to take a step away. People need to support structures of leadership that actually elevate youth voice and youth power. And people need to help in building youth power and amplifying that, right? There's a thing I hear a lot in spaces, specifically when I'm in spaces like Closed Bikers or like Drug Policy Alliance, but the statement is something to the effect of those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And so if young people are leading this charge and you here on this panel, but youth from the Brotherhood Sister Soul, youth from Teens Take Charge, youth from Integrate NYC, youth from CUNY, especially now with like the efforts that CUNY are doing for free CUNY, youth across the city are asking for, demanding, in fact, things that they know that they need for their own educational experiences. So it begs the question, like, why are people not listening? Why are people not moving out of the way, right? Y'all have vision, y'all have demands, people need to meet them. And so one of the things that I think people can do to be better allies or be better co-conspirators or be useful in the educational justice space is to get out of the way. And so I appreciate y'all for elevating that. And so for some of the questions from the external space, so this one, there's a question about desegregation. And so when we're thinking about the desegregation of New York City and what that looks like, I want to be very clear. Like, it looks like making sure that all schools have all the resources they need to succeed. It means bringing about education justice and not just the integration of Black students in white spaces, right? And so when we're thinking about desegregation of New York, and when we're thinking about education justice, and when we're thinking about equitable and just access and opportunity, what do you think we need to do to ensure desegregation of schools, but also school leadership? What are some thoughts on that?
So one thing that I've seen a few schools do so far is have students on a board to help like with teachers and other faculty to help hire new teachers, because obviously the students are being taught by these teachers. They're also gonna have a relationship with these teachers, so it's really important for them to help choose who's going to be teaching them. And this is also if there's an inclusive and representative board, then hopefully that will result in a more inclusive and representative faculty for students. Just an idea.
Yeah, so students in all aspects of hiring and firing, students with enfranchisement, so decision-making power and voting power on the bodies that they currently occupy, maybe even more student positions on those bodies. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I would say at CUNY, University Student Senate, we have a CUNY Board of Trustees, which is the highest board of authority at our university, where we have 25 campuses. Not many universities have students who are trustees, who have a voice and say, even though I'm just one student on the board alongside from people appointed by the mayor and the governor. And I do feel like there should be more students on the board. I do think doing that is essentially a help and a way to always echoing and putting the student perspective on the table, because it's very important that you have students who are actually going through the issues and motions to essentially help make decisions in our communities and in our institutions.
Thank you. And Sarah, do you want to share any thoughts on that?
I think you guys pretty much summed everything up, so I'll just take the next question.
Okay, cool. So last question to you, Sarah. How can young people get on board with the work that you are all doing? What does that look like for Integrate NYC, and other folks can chime in too, but how do folks support what you're doing, young people in particular?
So in Integrate NYC, there are social medias that can be followed and to support, but also in like just everyday school. And I feel like everyone making their voice heard, even if it's like at the end of a Zoom and you dislike the way that the teacher explained the curriculum about something, like say it, like make your voice heard. If there's something that you're not liking about your school, make a petition and have everyone at your school sign it. Like, I think that everyone making their voice heard is the most important thing for them to be able to create integration and diversity, and have resources available to them. Just anything that they need to speak up for it, right? Because it's not always gonna, everyone is not always gonna see that you're gonna need it, and sometimes you're gonna have to speak up for it. And I think that that's something really important, because when we were in an Integrate meeting one day, I remember someone had said, like, I thought my school was diverse, but really it wasn't, because there wasn't many Black students or Latino students, and they needed extra help, but we couldn't see that, and no one would say anything, right? And I think that that's something that that school would have seen if everyone would have come together to make their voices heard.
Thank you, Sarah. So democratize power, right? Like, distribute how power is shown. And if you are in a position where you feel disempowered or like people aren't listening, definitely say something, and definitely say something in the way that you feel safe in doing so. And if you need support, look out to these organizations. So if you're at CUNY, look to your University Student Senate. If you're in the city and not at CUNY, so you're in a K-12 institution, look up the work that Teens Take Charge is doing. Look up the work that Integrate NYC is doing. Look up the work that the Brotherhood Sister Soul is doing, and come on board, because the more people aligned and moving this effort, the more united we are and the more solidarity we can build, the more we can move people in power to shift, because that is what we need right now. People to listen to young people, people to support what they're doing, and people to create and enact a vision that is coming out of these spaces and coming out of this voice. Thank you all for your wisdom and your time. We're going to pivot to EK.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marsha. Thank you so much to Sarah. Thank you so much to Veronica. Thank you so much to Giovanni. And thank you so much to Dorothea and Teens Take Charge. I think that's a really important piece to lift up, is that Dorothea is one of our incredible students and young people that's creating change. And our students deserve reliable technology and reliable internet that can allow them to participate in all parts of our world. And so, Dorothea, we see you, we appreciate you, and I just wanted to lift that up, and that your presence was missed, and that we will make sure to find other ways to make sure that you are heard and in these discussions. So thank you so much. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our moderator for this incredible discussion. We are now, before I jump in, I also wanted to echo again the many thanks from earlier, and really echo love and appreciation to our incredible ASL interpreter, our second interpreter of the day, Brandon Kazan Maddox, they, them. And we thank you, and we are excited to see you thank yourself here for the incredible work that you've been doing with us today throughout the entire day. So next up, we're going to do something different than the other sessions, and we actually want to connect as a community for a community dialogue. And so right now on our website and on our Facebook, our incredible team, Fatim Shabani and Sammy Disu, are dropping in, copying and pasting a Zoom link for you to join us in a community dialogue for the next 15 minutes. You'll get a chance to actually talk and engage with our panelists and each other, and actually flip the panel. So now is your time to engage with each other and answer these same questions that our panelists so wonderfully framed from Dr. Marsha. Thank you so much for joining us. We cannot wait to see you in the next sessions, and see you on the Zoom. Thank you, everyone.